Hi, this is Lisa from creativecanines.blogspot.com, and this is your Copic tutorial for this week. This is number 3, using light source to color skin tones. I'm going to use 2 different images from the new Pixie Dust Studios release. One is of the little boy and the other one of a little girl. The reason I'm using 2 is because I'm going to help you determine light source from overhead and from the side. Let's start with the little boy. And I'm going to use our template here. I'm going to use my light source from about the 8 or 9 o'clock position, which is the side light source. And everything where the template hits first is going to be the lightest. Everything where the rays leave will be the darkest. Now, the one thing that you have to take into consideration when coloring faces is the different things that might shade the face, like these bangs, the brim of the hat, and the bow tie. And I'm going to share with you my 3 favorite colors for coloring skin tone, and that's E01, E00, and E000. I also use R20 for coloring cheeks. I'm going to start with my E01 and I'm going to lay down the darker color. I'm going to start by doing underneath the bangs because the bangs will cast a shadow on his face. And then on this side I'm laying down darker color because this is the farthest away from the light source. Once again, the bow tie is going to cast a little bit of a shadow. Now if he had a nose or eyelashes, I would also put the darker color around there to cast a shadow. Once again, I'm using a feather stroke. I'm going to add in my E00. Now, the one thing that I have to remind myself about is the E00 and the E000, even though that they're very close, E00 blends very nicely with the E01, where the E000 pushes the color because there's so much more solvent in it. And because lighter colors will push darker colors, even something as close together as an E000 and an E01. Add in my lightest color, the E000. I'm going to feather stroke that in or blend that in. Now I'm going to want a little bit more contrast. So I'm going to go back in with my darker color, lay it down a little bit more. And the wonderful thing about these markers is you can keep adding dark all you want. Go back in with my E00 to blend that color in. And once again with my E000. It's pretty difficult not to get a little bit of bleeding in the eyes, but that's okay. That sounds terrible, huh? Sounds like we're talking about a medical show. But if you get some bleeding in the eyes, it's not a big deal unless it's you personally. In your image, it's fine. You just go back with the colorless blender and clean that up. Now I'm going to use a different technique here where I'm going to use my E000 and use a tip-tip-tip blending technique where I take my E000 and touch the tip to my R20. And then I'm going to add the cheeks here. Now I'm not going to use my E000 on the other side, and the reason being is because that E000 does not like the E01. So I'm going to go in with my E00 exactly the same way I did before for my cheeks here. You can use the tip-to-tip method and then add a cheek in. Okay. Now we're going to look at the little girl. And the little girl I colored with the overhead light source. Now, she doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I colored her with the overhead light source because for me, I thought it would be more interesting for my picture and also for demonstration purposes. Now, when you use skin tone for an overhead light source, the center of the skin is going to be the lightest portion. And the reason that is because the face is 3D, and the light is going to hit the nose area here because it's going to be the highest, so it's going to be the lightest portion. And once again, we have to take in consideration the shading here from the hair. So I'm going to go in with my E01. And she's colored really similarly to Wink, the teddy bear that we did in the first video demonstration. My E00. Leaving that centered with no color on it until we add the E00. Make sure and blend any harsh lines. So that's pretty good. I kind of like that. I'm going to go in with my E00 because this is E00 here, and I'm going to add in my cheeks. Once again with the tip-to-tip blending method. And I'm going to make the cheeks on her a little bit darker than for the little boy. Okay. As these markers dry, they're going to lighten up. So there are some areas that once it lightens up, you can tell that you might not like the way it's lightened up. You might see a little bit harsh of a line. I'm seeing a little bit of a line here. So I'm going to go back and blend this in with my E00 a little bit more. I'll go back in with my E00 just to make sure everything's smooth. I'm probably going to use this side view on my marker so it lays down the least color. Okay. And then this is her completed. So once again, review, if you're going to do an overhead light source, okay, the darkest areas are going to be surrounding the face. The lightest area is going to be in the center. If you're doing a side light source, the darkest areas are going to be towards the side, okay, taking into consideration the shading on the face due to his hair or different other objects close to the face. Where the lightest area is going to be the side closest to the light source. I hope that helped clear up skin tones and coloring skin tones using your light source and template. Once again, this is Lisa with creativecanines.blogspot.com. Have a great week.